little hearts so cold. I don't know where I've fallen, but I feel foreclosed. I tell you all my dreams, I tell you that I'm cold. You offer me some comfort, but I should've known it was only for a little while that I thought someone cared. It was only for a little while that I thought you came undone. So tell me why this must be, or don't say anything at all. Just tell me how to grieve, and I'll take this somewhere else.
Episode 30.
Okay, I'm done.
Are we finally here?
Yes, we're finally here.
Are finally here. I only put on this hat and set the room the way I said it because astrology is very important to ensure that your surroundings match the energy. So what is that about? Like for us that want to get in your position to get in front of record labels and do internships, like, can you give us a little insight on what that is about?
You know, I was actually talking to my friend about this today. I feel like when you really try and like apply to these certain like internship programs and you like really put yourself out there and try, you're most likely not going to get selected because you're trying way too hard and they can kind of sense the desperation in your energy. This is like, it's called Siren Records. It's a small, like, independent, women owned record label specifically for young women only. So I was just scrolling on Instagram one day and I saw, like, like those promotion posts where, like, yeah, basically they were looking for interns and also artists, but to sign artists that like they have to be in LA and local because they're a small indie. So I signed up to be an intern. And in the application, I literally was just myself. Like I wasn't trying because like I honestly didn't think I would get in. I filled it out fairly quickly, and again, I didn't try. I was just myself. And I did mention that, like, hopefully one day, like when I move to LA, I would like to be a signed artist on their roster.
Right.
Um, Apparently they got hundreds and hundreds of applications and only picked 30 people. So I honestly don't know what I did different. I just, again, was myself. So my advice would be don't try too hard. Don't like overthink about what you're going to say. Cause, not only with record labels, but like with programs in Toronto and all that stuff. I know in my experience when I've tried super hard and like tried to, be this someone else that like I thought they wanted, they can sense that and they're like, no thanks. So
I believe in that, like manifesting when you go into these auditions or whatever it is, like just to feel that, look, you've already won and they should feel privileged to have you in the room.
yeah.
No, I'm being serious because the moment you're shaking and you're like, am I going to, I don't think I'm going to do it. I don't, and then you're not.
Every time I've like been super nervous, anxious, shaking, that's my body, that's my spirit telling me that like I'm not in the right place. I'm not aligned with this energy. Only can I sense that, but everyone else can sense that.
Yes.
So it's just really important to listen to your gut. Like I used to be out here in Toronto going to every single open mic, every single audition, and I was spreading my energy so thin to the point where it was exhausting. And now I just listen to my body. I only go somewhere and perform somewhere, or if I feel energetically called to, you know? If
Got
I don't have a bad feeling in my gut, I'm like, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Do you ever have to adjust your energy though? And the reason why I ask you is because there's times where I don't want to shoot a podcast, but the time and date is there and I have to shoot it. And I find myself doing different activities to set me in the mood to shoot a podcast. Either, set me in the mood to be inspired by their songs or what kind of business they're running or whatever venture they're in. I just have to get myself sort of like zoned in. And there's certain things that I have to do to get myself there because listen, there's certain days where, it's a long days of work, real life situations where fuck, I don't want to shoot a podcast, but the show has to continue. Is there anything that you do that sometimes you have to like break, certain routines to try to get you on mood? You're the type of person where you're just like, I don't fuck with the energy, so I'm not going to do it. And that's that.
No. I have a crystal sound bowl, which is in the note of A, which stimulates your third eye. So I honestly believe in sound healing and binaural beats. It's and also hypnotic music when you go to sleep. So there's certain affirmations in these music, and like you turn it on while you sleep, and it's subconsciously stimulating your mind. But let's say I'm in a situation where I feel like shit, and I need to get my shit together to do something. I will literally go take a shower and, you know, I set intentions with the water. Like, I want this water to cleanse my spirit of negativity. I want this water to heal me, to put me in a better mood. And I also play uplifting music in the shower. And I swear to God, not only in the shower, but also in a bath, it fucking works. It
That's
works. I come out of that
interesting.
shower as a person and I feel incredible.
Wow.
Um, that's only if it's minor negative energies or just me feeling a little off. But if I feel totally fucked, because I'm like very spiritually sensitive, sometimes people would throw you like evil eye or psychic attacks. Then you have to do like removals. Yeah, same.
Can I ask
um,
you a quick question? Because, oh my God. Okay. So when I reached out to you to come on the show, I did research on you as an artist, as an astrology like artist, like painting portraits. Like you do a lot of things in regards to art and life in general. When I reached out, though, I know you're not the type of person to always say yes to anything. So to be
yeah.
really honest with you, when you said, "Yeah, let's do it," I'll be honest with you, I was a bit shocked because I was like, I know that she's all about her energy and she's not gonna fuck that up for anybody. So I'm just curious to know what made you say yes.
So before you reached out to me, I actually had a vision of being on a podcast, and I hit one of my friends up in Toronto that does podcasts, and she was kind of like, "Oh, like we just finished our roster and I'm super busy." And then like also COVID got really bad in Toronto.
Yeah,
She reached out to me right after she was like, "No," and I was like, "The universe." So it just felt very divinely guided. Like I just sometimes I have dreams, I have visions, and it comes true. Like I can't really describe it. Um,
that's cool. And I asked because I was so intrigued to know what your answer was. And look, the universe lined it all up and it was for a reason. So it was only for a little while that I thought you. What's going on, everybody? Beyond the Views podcast, the number one podcast in the world. You know that. You have Cito, Raiesa. I'm telling you right now, I am so privileged to have you. By the way, this is episode 30. This is the last episode of season 1. I appreciate everyone that's been fucking rocking with me. I'm so excited to see what season 2 has in store. But right now, we are in episode 30 with Raiesa in the building, astrology, portrait art, music, and just life manifesting. Thank you so much for taking your time tonight. And I forgot to mention Vancouver in the building. Born and raised in Toronto, but Vancouver is now your heart. And Manifesting My Dreams, your latest song, which I love. Packing up my bags, moving to the West Coast where I can see the mountains.
So I'm packing my bags and moving to the West Coast, where I could see the mountains and be friends with the ocean.
And then you said, running to my exes, I fear ... So you're saying a lot in this record, but before we get there, I feel like I'm in Vancouver right now with all the mountains. Is your area code 604-778-236-672? Which one is it?
I still have a 647 number.
So you have nothing, like you don't have a number from Vancouver?
Over at all because I'm back and forth.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I was just gonna say a joke if you picked any of those any of those area codes, so don't even worry about it. Vancouver, city of British Columbia, popular of both filming locations, mountains, thriving art, music. Look, I won't lie to you. I did not know that music is huge in Vancouver.
That's the thing. I actually wanted to talk about that. There's so like in Toronto we have that mentality that like Toronto's the only city that makes music. Like we're very self-absorbed and a little narcissistic in a sense. Um, but once I started traveling and talking to people, I started realizing like Vancouver has like a small music scene. It's more like folk, indie, like pop, and even like grunge sounds.
Right.
Even Calgary has a big music scene that's popping off with like hip hop and pop. New Brunswick, my friends are on the East Coast making music, Montreal. So I really encourage Toronto artists that, Toronto is very big for R&B and hip hop, but I'm not R&B and hip hop. So I would encourage any Toronto artist that feels like they don't fit into that like, style of music to
Right.
like try elsewhere. Like even Montreal, it has a very indie sound. So if you don't want to go too far from Toronto, Montreal is a good option and rent is super fucking cheap.
Right.
But honestly, I just ever since I was a little girl, I knew I needed to be on the West Coast. And when I did my astrocartography, which is relocation astrology, I saw on the West Coast, yeah, oh my God, you need to get into that. I had such amazing fucking placements, like my Jupiter line and my Sun line. Jupiter represents expansion, good luck, good fortune. And it's true, I've only been here a year and I've been more stable and more established here than I have ever been in Toronto.
That's
So I'm,
beautiful.
yeah, and in Toronto I had really shitty placements. So it wasn't a fun line to grow up on.
Have you ever seen the stars?
Yes.
And you tell me magic isn't real? Wow. I'd hate to live in your grim world. Where's that from?
That's from my dark mind. And
I'm really intrigued to know, is this actually your words? Like
yeah,
these are your... Wow. Okay.
I'm also a poet. I'm currently writing a book. I've been writing this book since like 2018. I'm just kind of scared to release it because it's all my like
I don't think you're scared. I think it's not perfected to the way you want it to be, and you're just holding it off.
I'm
And
holding it.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong.
Even with my music, I've just been like holding off and like getting it to a point where it's like really fucking good. I,
Yeah, I can tell.
yeah.
I can tell because you've been really like I said, like you're a kind of artist, and why I was so intrigued to interview you is because you're a kind of artist that, I know your catalog is huge and I know you have so much to put out, but you don't put it out. Uh, I looked into your SoundCloud, your Spotify. I listened to your music. I looked through your Instagram, and I noticed that you are really selective of what you do and where you go and how you sing and what you do and who you surround yourself with. And I think that's a winning mentality to have. You don't need to
Honestly,
rush. You don't need to rush.
it's because at one point in my life, I literally had no fucking boundaries. I
Yeah.
was everywhere and I was with everyone, and you don't know how many times I got fucked over and put
Yeah.
into situations just because I didn't have the self love to care about myself in a sense that wasn't people pleasing. You know, I just, at one point in my career, I was just so bad. Like when I first got into the industry at 17, I was very naive. I didn't really know what the fuck I was doing, but I was just so fascinated. I wanted to be everywhere and anywhere.
Right.
And you know, you trust the wrong people, especially in Toronto. It's a grimy ass scene, and I talk about it all the time. It's not necessarily safe. So you have to be very fucking careful of who you associate with and who you work with, because there's a lot of creepers out there. But you know, and these things are important to talk about, especially with young women coming up in the industry in Toronto. It's like these are the people. You know, we need to create safe spaces for young women to actually thrive and not be sexualized or taken advantage of, because it happens so often.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like,
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you on that. And you're the voice. You're the voice. You've always been the voice behind. You advocate for the rest of the females out here that are doing what you want to do.
You're muted. You're so judgmental. You don't understand that we're all human. Just human. You don't understand that we all have faults, and I don't live to please you. So you. I understand that we all have faults, but I'm not here to please you. It's an incredible song. And I want to say that this song, if I'm not mistaken from my research, not only is it 20,000 fucking listeners on this song, it might be your like most listeners out of all your songs. I think
Correct?
90 is actually has more listeners.
More than 20,000?
Yeah, it has 29.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay, you got me there. You got me there.
These songs, like I recorded myself on my laptop and it was a freestyle. I was just like singing from the heart.
This song is your energy does not match with the other side.
Yeah. You know,
What
the
sparked this?
okay, so my I follow this girl who's like super into astrology and numerology. So I'm a life path 7, and she kind of did this like funny post about like life path numbers and what songs they would make. And then for life path 7 it was like muted and blocked. So I got really inspired by that, and I literally just got my guitar, started recording on GarageBand, and I sang my heart out, and it just worked. Like it was a freestyle. Night Skies was a freestyle. I recorded that at 3 in the morning. Muted and blocked was like all my like. I feel like when I rehearse songs too much, get into the studio and record them, they're okay. But then it's when you have those sparks of creativity and like divine wisdom that just flow through you, that's when you create fucking magic. And yeah.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. I could not have agreed so much more. Like you've realized that, you know, your momentum when you create music, when you do it purely from the heart. I feel like you make soulful music. How do you categorize, you know, where your music falls into when it
I
comes to,
sing from my heart, man.
do you have a certain category that you're aiming for or that you put yourself under? I call it soulful music, but I'm not sure what you call your music.
I would say, yeah, soulful, emotional. I am working on an EP right now and I'm trying to get into like different sounds. I want like a, at least one lo-fi song. I want 2 acoustic bass beats. I'm kind of getting into house music, which is insane.
Really?
Okay, I
Interesting, interesting, interesting.
house music. I am a big fucking fan. Like, you know, it just does something to my soul. And when you listen to house music, sometimes it could be the saddest fucking lyrics, but it's just like, yeah. So that's what I'm aiming to do. I'm aiming to create like a kind of like a sad, dark song, but on a house beat.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like, okay,
Um,
okay, I see what you're saying. Like a sad slow song that has upbeat when the beat kicks in sort of vibe. I've never heard that before. I don't know. I
You
think
know the song like Prayer in C? But if you listen to the lyrics, it's sad as fuck. Like she's talking about how we're destroying the earth and we're destroying how fucked up humanity is. And it's on like the chillest house beat ever. And you know, I feel like if the beat is chill, if your voice is chill and mellow, you can sing about the most disturbing topics, but people will not be, offended or off-putted by that energy. I feel like if you have a very abrasive type of voice or abrasive type of energy, then people are kind of like,
yeah,
and they feel uncomfortable.
yeah.
But if you sing it with like a soft, mellow voice and a chill beat, then it just kind of softens the blow.
That's how I felt when I was listening to your songs. I just felt really mellow. I don't know. You sort of mixed your words into that instrumental in a kind of way where I was like, let me bring it back. Um, but that's interesting. It's different, and I think that really really works. 2015, you met the Weeknd. How was that experience like?
You know what's hilarious? The day before, I literally met him for free. And then the next day, okay, so this story,
That's
X
cool.
has had such a big impact on my life. And when I got there, everyone was like so dressed up. Like there was models and like amazing,
But
beautiful
you don't
women.
seem the kind of person that gives a fuck, anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So, but at 15, I was like a little insecure. I was a kid, so I didn't
Yeah.
fucking know what I was doing. So when he first walked through, he like waved at me, and I was like, and I'm like, but at the same time, I was like, was he waving at me? But then when he walked back to leave, he literally stopped and shook my hand and like said hi to me, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was one of the only people he talked to, and I just didn't understand why. Um,
Mm. You took a picture with him.
but I was shook. But the picture was on the other, like when I went to his concert, like 2 days after. But
Got
still,
you.
I was fucking shook. And then at 2019, House was doing a bunch of events. Like EXO started House.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was very active in that scene. I wasn't really a part of their program because I feel like I just wasn't what they were looking for. Like when it come like they were more looking for digital people and fashion designers and stuff like that, and I'm a musician, but I didn't give a fuck. I was like, I'm here, bitch. You can't get no, like that's the thing. It's like I sometimes people won't accept you or they won't I don't want to say they didn't accept me because they did and they were very kind to me and they were very encouraging of my craft, but I still wasn't fitting in their category of what they were looking for.
That's what it
And
was.
that's fine. They still went out of their way to kind of like, you know, mentor me in a sense, which meant a lot to me. But that's the thing. It's like, if you really fucking want something, you go get it. You don't, just because someone doesn't open the fucking door for you doesn't mean you don't mean to be there. Like I was at all their events and I would always be asking questions and like learning and like I had like my little notepad like taking notes. It got to a point where it was tradition that like the first question was always mine. So yeah,
Can
so
I ask you? Can I ask you? What was one of the first questions you asked?
okay, so it was my first like in-house talk. It was the artist Ruichi or something. He's a fine artist painter, but he's also a fashion designer. So I asked him, I was like, do you paint your clothes? Like, do you paint on clothes? Do you create painting designs like on, say, denim jackets? And he was kind of like, whoa, like, I've never done that before, but I literally have paint on my jeans right now. And after, like, Lamar came up to me and I introduced myself, I was like, hey, I'm Raiesa. I do this shit. And he's like, I liked your question because you gave him an idea. And I was kind of like, thank you. It was really kind of him to kind of notice. And that's what I'm saying. Like, House was just such an amazing opportunity because even though I wasn't a part of their, like, what they were doing, I was still being encouraged. It is like my dream to kind of like one day make a song with The Weeknd, obviously. But, that's so that's so like far. I'm just speaking it into existence.
Is it far though?
I don't know. It might be right around the corner, but like,
I'll leave it there. Planting the seed down the line that that's what you want to do. It's okay that it's a bit of a way from where you're at right now, but it's okay to keep watering that plant. You were uninspired since Lauren Hill retired, and that was one of your first art portraits that you painted. Um, Incredible piece.
that was literally the first portrait I've ever painted.
I know, and it's a great piece.
How the fuck do you know all this shit?
You know who Nardwar is? You know who?
What?
No, what's his name? Nardwar. What's his name? I don't know. Everybody else that's listening, Nardwar. That's one of my idols. You got to do some good research, but it's a beautiful piece. So I want to transition a little bit into your art.
Okay.
What inspired you to become an artist in the painting portrait world?
So honestly, before I was doing music, I was always a painter. Since I was a little girl, the first memory I can remember, like we made these paintings in our class. I think I was in like second grade. And at this point, like I was a very insecure, troubled child. Like I've always, I didn't really have a good upbringing. So I didn't really believe in myself. I didn't really think I had any talent because my grades were not that great. But my teacher put all the paintings up on the wall. And one of the smartest girls in my class, she was like, "Oh, which painting is yours?" And I pointed, "Oh, it's that one." She's like, "That's yours? That's such an amazing painting. It looks like a adult did it." And I was actually kind of shocked. I was like, "Oh, oh." So then, I'm grateful that she encouraged me because then I started like, drawing more, painting more, going into classes. But it wasn't until I moved downtown when I was like 16 and I started attending this alternative high school for like bad kids.
Are
Like
you serious?
dude, I was a fucked up child and like I'm proud to admit it. Like I was in the system, but like I don't give a fuck. It like shaped me to be the independent bad bitch I am today. So my art teacher, Donna, God bless her soul, she's the one who pulled up my natal chart for the first time. If she didn't do that, I would have not known astrology existed beyond your sun sign. She pulled up my natal chart and she just saw my chart and her eyes were like, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, imagine if an astrologer pulls up your chart and they're like, what the fuck?
Hmm.
And she didn't explain at all. All she said is like, oh my god, your eighth house. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? She's like, research it. So obviously, my obsessive ass, I went on astro.com, I went on YouTube, I learned everything I could, and I started obsessing over astrology. And it's been like 7 years almost. And now I'm an astrologer. So that's Frida. There's one of the Weeknd. The middle one is Aphrodite. On top is like this blue heron I saw at Jericho Beach in Vancouver. And the bottom one, like I bought from Spirit Halloween.
Quick question. Just putting things aside really quickly. Have you thought about doing any NFTs?
Oh my God. Okay, so with NFTs, you kind of have to, put them up, and it costs like a little bit of
Ethereum. You have to buy Ethereum, a different kind of currency.
exactly. So I'm like asking him, do you have that? Blah, blah. And I don't really get any straight answers from him, but I am gonna get into NFTs. I just have a lot on my plate right now, so oh, I
Look,
like that actually.
so episode 30,
I will play Night Skies for you.
honored.
Okay, I always get a little nervous.
Nervous. I was about the next thing we're going to talk about is that you've performed the Nathan Phillips Square with in front of a bunch of fucking people.
How the fuck? You're a stalker. I swear to God. How do you know this shit? Like, okay, I am a very low key person. I don't like talk about my achievements. Maybe that. Okay, you get an A plus.
There you
Like,
go. Amy Winehouse has nothing to do with what you do, but is that one of your inspirations?
yeah. When I first started singing, I really would resonate with Amy and like sing her records to kind of train my voice in a sense. Like when I first started singing, I sounded like absolute shit. Deadass. Like I sounded so bad, like it was horrible. But I didn't give up. My mom's also a singer, so like, it was kind of nerve-wracking. And I didn't really sing in front of my family ever until recently. And yeah, I would just listen to other artists that like kinda I thought my voice was a little similar and I would use it to train my voice. But then as like Amy has like such a raw, like raspy, like deeper voice.
Yeah.
But as I developed, I realized that my voice is more soft and like mellow and just I feel like it comes from this a similar place, but just in a different style. When I first started performing, I was literally pushed on stage. People,
Really?
yeah, I was scared as fuck. Like every time I go on stage, I'm like shaking. But like I still, courage is being terrified of something but still doing it anyways. So I have really bad anxiety. I am an introvert. Um but I went up on that stage and I performed some poetry and some music and I just looked into the audience and it was like a sea of people and it was exhilarating. Um It was a very special moment, but also at that event, I was originally there to do like live painting, and I did. But then like they also let me on stage, so I'm like, that's the thing. Like,
Sick.
sometimes people might put you somewhere that's like, I want to be on the stage, but I'm not one of their artists that they're like representing. But they've asked me to come and live paint. But since I've done this for them, I automatically just, get that little segue onto that stage. And again, it's just like just because you're not a part of something doesn't mean you can't wiggle yourself in. So that's my advice to fucking everyone. Like if someone tries to slam the door on your face, break the fucking door, kick it down, get in that room. Like if you feel called to, get in that room. If you don't and like you have a bad vibe, rejection is protection. But sometimes
Protection is protection. Holy fuck, I'm using that phrase. Okay, keep going, keep going, keep going.
yeah, like sometimes rejection is protection, but also sometimes it kind of with house, I was just so, you know, the Weeknd's music just means so much to me. Not only that, but exactly like what they stand for, what they're trying to do, their upbringing. It's just related to me a lot in my life. And it was like a spiritual kind of feeling. And my heart just lit on fire every time I was in that building. So I didn't give a fuck if I wasn't a part of their program. I was like, my heart is on fire. I want to fucking be here. I want to do this. I don't care if I'm not like invited in. Still gonna push my way through. And that's exactly what I did. And I gained so much wisdom from it. And I gained like mentorship, which was iconic.
You met DirectorX at the Brooklyn Cage Gallery.
Yeah.
How was that like?
Oh, God. Exhilarating. So,
Divine protection. I love it.